I did want to check these out. Stop making English dubs. Good voice acting is why English dubs suck. That's a title that's grabbed my attention. I am an English dub hater a lot of the time. There are definitely good English dubs, but usually it's something that's only in English from the start. This guy has 6K subs. I don't know if this video is good, but we'll check it out. It's 10 minutes long, 11 minutes long, whatever it is. Let's go, dub hey. Yeah, brother.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Gary.
Hi.
I'm a voice actor, I'm a gamer, and I'm a PhD in AI speech stuff. The AI part isn't particularly relevant, but the speech
It will be.
part is. Because today, I'm going to be talking about why English dubs always seem to fall short of the quality of the Japanese version when it comes to things like anime and Japanese video games. And
This is always funny to hear, because, like, you'll listen to people who are in... Like, Connor, for example. Connor will talk about English dubs being good. But, like, anybody who listens to, like, any... Like, if you've heard the quality of a... You know, I'm not gonna play it because I got fucking... I got copyright claimed when I brought it up before. But the Eno battle scene... The Eno battle scene, like, there is not a single anime that has voice acting to that level. However, there is English speech, which does, right? Like, if you go watch some, like, you know, a Game of Thrones or a fucking Breaking Bad or anything like that, early Walking Dead, right? Like, there are scenes that are just as emotional, but there's something about, especially anime voice acting, where it's just never good. And my theory's always been taking something that's in Japanese and translating it to English, like, it just feels awkward. The video's still up, but that section, I think it was like, you can't play this in certain parts of the world. Also, like, we were just playing Hades, right? Like, Hades has amazing voice acting, and it is, like, part of the reason people don't get paid enough? I don't know, but let's find out what this guy has to say.
And while it is true that things like cultural differences and synchronization issues sometimes play a factor, I'm going to be talking about a major contributor that the general public
How's the audio level, by the way?
access to: the culture of the LA voiceover industry. So to start, I'm
a lot of the Genshin people are getting replaced.
actually going to show you guys two different American cartoons. This is a SpongeBob episode from 2002.
What am I supposed to do all day while you're at school?
We love SpongeBob.
What do you normally do when I'm gone?
Wait for you to get back.
And this is a rock, paper, scissors episode from 2024.
But that doesn't make me a failure. Nobody does their resolutions.
Oh, really? Why don't we check my documentary footage?
These two cartoons are incredibly easy to compare. They're both featured on Nickelodeon, they both feature anthropomorphic inanimate objects, and they both target approximately the same demographic. In particular, I also chose a scene where the characters are just having a normal conversation. Now, maybe some of you have already picked up on a style difference of the voices of the two different cartoons, but...
Yeah, SpongeBob's trying to, like... It's not trying to sound like real people talking. Is that the direction this is going to go? That you have a lot of English dubs, they're trying to sound like they're in, how would you say it? They're just trying to sound like real people, I guess, rather than trying to sound like characters.
You can't quite put your finger on it. Let me spell it out in simple terms. It's the fact that rock, paper, and scissors could probably pass as normal people.
Is this right?
Looks okay to me. You seem very calm about this.
Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Patrick are clearly not people.
One curl and Johnny!
Is mayonnaise an
Yeah, okay, no, this is definitely the direction we're going here.
instrument?
Or at the very least, if they were people, they'd be a bunch of weirdos. If you
This
listen
is
to
true.
100 voices in a row, you'd still probably be able to pick
And
out...
you know what, I think he's cooking here. Like, you think of the whole anime character thing, right? Like, no one speaks... Okay, we gotta be specific. No one speaks like the majority of anime characters. There are definitely series which try to, like, be a lot more realistic. But, like, let's take, what's a good example? Black Clover. Black Clover. No one, okay, except maybe YouTubers. No one except YouTubers talks like, Asta. Or like Naruto, right? Like, no one speaks like Naruto does.
SpongeBob and Patrick among them. I mean,
Nobody
Among
talks
Us?
like this.
And nobody talks like this.
but it'd be probably more difficult to pick out rock, paper, or scissors because they just sound like any other person. This is a
They're just
trend that the
dudes.
video game and animation industries have been veering towards for the past 20 to 30 years. To use acting vocabulary, more and more, the industry is starting to prefer performances that are more grounded. Now, I personally hate the word grounded because it functionally doesn't mean anything. I already made a video about how these descriptive words
You know what? Yeah, now that I'm thinking, like, one of my favorite voice actors recently, I've brought him up many times, and every time I see him, Ben Starr. Like, listen to Ben Starr's performance as Clive, or Ben Starr's performance as Prometheus or Verso. He's like, I'm talking like this. I am Clive. I am an angry boy.
don't really help the industry at all. But when you see grounded as an acting direction, it's supposed to mean realistic or believable. And there's a reason why these performances are getting more popular, but it's not always for the right reason. Because usually it has to do with arrogance and ego. Let's take a quick look at
weird.
The most respected
I don't even
and
have to hear
praised
the voice there.
performances often
Every
come
time I
from
see that fucking
realistic
clip.
and emotionally nuanced characters. Characters that show emotion in subtle ways rather than being over the top. This is because it's widely accepted that realistic performances are some of the most difficult performances to pull off. It's not hard to show that you're angry by yelling and punching people, but it's a little bit more difficult to show anger when you're not moving around very much. Of course, one advantage that on-camera actors have is that you can actually see their
Japanese Man Yuta is an entire YouTube channel where most of his content is teaching Japanese through anime dialogue. He always emphasizes how unrealistic their speech is.
faces and bodies. As a result, the grounded performance is even more difficult for voice actors. And over time, the number of realistic and grounded performances that a voice actor has produced has almost become like a metric of how good that voice actor is. Which, to an extent, makes sense, because if you're good, you should be able to do the difficult thing well, right? But because voice actors grade other voice actors on these types of performances, the grounded performance has almost become an obsession. These kinds of realistic performances have become a way to just show off your acting chops. And as the voiceover industry grew more and more competitive over the years, actors and directors stopped seeing their jobs as a production for the audience's enjoyment and started seeing their jobs more as a way to market for their next job.
They're making the dubs for other people in the industry, not for people who want to listen to the dubs. A circle jerk, basically, yeah.
Eventually, they started to cater to what their fellow actors wanted to hear and less to what the audience wanted to hear. Because
great example of that is just look at the Oscars any year. Half the movies in the Oscars no one's ever heard of. But then, like, you go back to like the 80s, right? Like you go back to the 80s and the 90s Oscars, and a lot of the movies that were nominated were actually good movies, right? Like, there were movies that people actually did watch and actually did enjoy. A great example is the Game Awards are kind of going in this direction as well. With remember fucking Astrobot winning last year, right? It's just like, this feels like an industry plot game.
it was an effective way to show off how good you are as an actor. But this was true even when the show didn't call for it. And as far as unrealistic stories go, some of the most disorienting mismatches in vocal style come from things like battle cries and screams. For instance, take the game Fire Emblem Three Houses. Every character in the game has a battle cry, and the character Ferdinand von Aegir uses his own name. He shouts, "I am Ferdinand von Aegir," in order to announce that he's arrived to the battlefield. In the Japanese version,
no, that has to be taken out of context. That cannot be the battle cry that he uses.
In the Japanese version, he sounds like this. And in
like that's like, you know, I'm announcing I'm going to war, right?
the English version, he sounds like this.
I am Ferdinand von Aegir.
I am Ferdinand von Aegir, who uses Thunderbolt. And the voice actor's just like, Pikachu. Pikachu. And that's... That is so rough.
Bit of a difference, huh? The Japanese version sounds like a legitimate battle cry. He's letting his enemy know the name of the man who's about to kill him. The English version sounds like a greeting. Nice to meet you. I'm Ferdinand. And I have to agree that the English version does sound more grounded and realistic. It sounds like something someone might say on an everyday basis. But
not in a battle. That's the thing. It doesn't even sound realistic for the context.
in this game, you're not grounded. You're at war. Another example is in My Hero Academia, Season 3, Episode 4.
No.
A young superhero named Deku is fighting a supervillain named Muscular. And when Deku releases his final attack, he screams, "Smash!" The English version sounds like this. And the Japanese version sounds like this.
That's not that bad.
You'll notice that the Japanese version sounds a lot more stressed and intense. These are actually two different types of screen versions.
I don't know. I think in this case, I think this might be a bad example. This feels like a bad example to me. No, I think it feels awkward to just scream "smash," but I think this is just a bad example.
And the Japanese version sounds like this.
Like, it definitely sounds better with the Japanese voice acting,
You'll
for sure.
notice that the Japanese version
but, like, it's
sounds
close
a lot
enough.
more stressed and intense. These are actually two different types of screams that I'm just going to demonstrate for you guys real quick. The English version is just a voice scream. He brings up the intensity a little bit so that he gets some vocal cracks. Here's a quick demonstration.
Okay.
The Japanese version is a much more intense scream, and it requires the use of the ventricular folds and other aspects of the throat other than just the vocal cords. This one does require more effort and sometimes more training as well. Here's a demonstration.
Okay, this demo makes it sound much clearer. Okay. I see the point he's making now.
More effort and sometimes more training as well. Here's a demonstration. So just from my own demonstration, you can see that a person is capable of...
I think in this case, the English Deku voice actor kinda carried it with just how much sound he can make. I understand the point he's making there. I don't think it's as bad as he's pointing this one out to be, though.
Both types of screams. It's more of a matter of style and choice as to which scream you use. And while the English version scream is more realistic, at least I can certainly see a young boy screaming like this in a playground fight. This character, Deku, isn't in a schoolyard fight. He's fighting a guy who's about to murder him. If you ask me, the Japanese version, which is not as realistic, is more fitting for the situation. And these types of stylistic mismatches have become a major problem for the anime and video game voiceover industry. Because while the voice actors might be able to give realistic performances,
for anatomy, I'll
few
give you some
people
for
watch
anatomy.
Anime for realism. More often, they watch it for entertainment and excitement. And sometimes the voice actors even claim that the audience will eventually learn to appreciate their nuanced and grounded performances. But that's not going to happen. And that's not my opinion. It's science. So there's an academic...
See, here's the thing, right? You can say they will learn to appreciate it when it's the only option. But when you're in a situation that has both the Japanese and the English voices, it's very easy to jump back and forth and see the difference.
Academic field that studies the perception of emotion in human speech. It's actually a field I'm intimately familiar with, and it's been researched to hell and back. There are a million different studies that cover a bunch of different languages, speaking styles.
Ed and the live-action Bebop is the peak style mismatch. I actually watched the... live action. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know what his voice sounds like in the live action.
And listening conditions. But the conclusions are always summarized in the exact same way. Here are the results of just about every single study in this field. When you listen to a speaker, sometimes you recognize their emotions correctly, and sometimes you don't. But it turns out, you're less likely to recognize the
worst
emotion
offender is Dragon Ball
if you're not
Evolution.
familiar with the speaker.
Even Toriyama
crazy,
has...
right? Yeah,
Toriyama was kind of like not acknowledging it for a long time. When he was working on Battle of Gods, he just started talking shit about Dragon Ball Evolution.
a pretty
The good English dubs, though, are always the ones that sound overly cartoony.
obvious result, but you know the scientists love their proof. And this is yet another problem when it comes to the voiceover industry. Because when it comes to animation and video games, the LA voiceover industry is a very small and tight-knit group, perhaps intentionally. Almost everyone is familiar with LA culture, the voiceover culture, and they know each
This is... I support more British dubs. Make dubs British again. It's so fun to hear a dub that is not American voices. Like, American voices have kind of become the standard for... Especially LA voices become, like, the standard for dubs. So you hear a game where there's, like, British people in it, and it sounds very different. Like, not only voice acting style, but just hearing a different accent that is not the fucking LA accent. What's the game? Is it a Switch game with the girl that constantly swears? She's British, has like little ear flappy things. Hot take, SAG-AFTRA need to stop representing voice actors entirely, and VAs need their own unique union. Well, that's probably gonna happen as companies just stop hiring people in the union. Like, Genshin is like getting rid of people like left and right now.
each other very well. It's not strange to see one studio cast the same actor over and over and over. See one studio cast the same actor over.
Lucian Dodge. That one doesn't ring a bell as much.
Over.
Alex! To be fair, wait. How do you not have his biggest role here? Wait. You list all of this shit, but not his biggest... When did this come out? 4 days ago. Why the fuck is Solo not on this list? Solo leveling is by far his biggest role ever, and probably gonna be his biggest role ever.
And over again. In fact, even Gravy for the Brain, one of the largest voiceover coaching resources, calls the voiceover industry a clique. So all the voice directors know voice actors.
SAG always treated voice actors second class versus screen actors. Like, it makes sense, right? Like, it's the Screen Actors Guild.
Actors like Lucian Dodge, Alex Lee, and Koi Dao, and they know how they express the grounded nuances of their emotions. But do you know
I don't think Alex is very grounded in Solo, and that might be why it's one of his better roles.
who doesn't know how they express their emotions? Literally everyone else in the country. And if it's an international dub, literally everyone else in the world. So the LA voice actors will hear these performances and hear how amazing they are. But some teenager from Memphis, Tennessee will hear the performance and hear something emotionless. Because while the director has probably spent years with these actors, the audience only spends 22 minutes per episode. And each individual character is probably talking for less than a quarter of that time. And according to science, if you're
so
not very
good.
familiar with these actors, you're not going to identify their nuanced emotions. And why would you be familiar with them? You're not here to be friends with the actors, you're here to watch a superhero show. And so, once again, the industry creates a performance for other members of the industry instead of the audience.
You wanna know a fun thing about Kuroko? Originally, instead of having him pass the ball around with like a spin, he was gonna punch the ball. And then the author found out that's actually against the rules in basketball, and he had to change it. He wanted it obviously to be a superpower basketball series, but he still wanted it to be within the rules of basketball.
It's a shame, really, because even for realistic anime, the Japanese voiceover industry seems to understand so much better what
rules
the
are cringe,
audience
that's
wants.
fair.
For instance, let's take a look at the figure skating.
Holy shit. If you've not watched Medalist, please, if you do nothing else, this is one of the best fucking sports anime that's come out in, I don't know how long it's been since we've had a good new sports anime. This is so good.
drama medalist. When Coach Tsukasa expresses his excitement for coaching a new student, the English version sounds like this.
Let me be your skating coach. I'm begging.
And the Japanese
Let me be your skating coach, I'm begging!
version sounds like this.
コーチとしてスケートを教えます。
And for the most part, the English version
Yeah,
sounds like this.
listen to how flat that sounds.
コーチとしてスケ
Wait.
ーティング
His excitement for coaching a new student, the English version
Still
sounds
watching
like
Studio?
this.
Fair.
Let me be your
That's also really good.
skating coach. I'm begging.
And the Japanese version sounds like this.
コーチとしてスケートを教えます。
And for the most
I think what you have with Japanese, like, this is something I hear with, like, you know, you hear people say, oh, I can't enjoy it because I don't know the language, or you enjoy it more because you don't know the language. But, like, you don't need to know the language to be able to hear emotion in someone's voice, right? Like, if you've ever... Okay, great example. Have you ever been out, I don't know, supermarket or something like that, and there's somebody speaking in a language yelling at their kids in a language that you don't know? Like, you don't need to know what they're saying to understand, like, the feeling they're trying to give off. Foreign movies talk... This... Really good example, yes. I think a lot of people would do, like, a really good job watching, you know, you can watch something stupid, right? Like, go watch, like, Shaolin Soccer or Shaolin Football, whatever the fuck it's called, or, like, any Bollywood movie, right? Just, it doesn't even have to be something serious. Watch something really fucking stupid. Or watch any of the movies that any of the actors in Yakuza have been in, or any of the shows they've been in. And it's just like, oh, you learn to appreciate things without necessarily being able to, like, speak the language of the person. Like, you can read. I'm assuming you can read. Maybe you can't read. In which case I understand. But if you can read, like, experience things outside your own culture. Yo, thank you for the biddies.
most part, the English version sounds pretty realistic. It's a bit intense, but you might hear that tone at your local sports center.
No,
if you
you
heard the Japanese version in real life,
I think he keeps saying realistic. I don't think it's realistic. I think in a lot of the cases, what you're seeing is like stage acting. Like it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it's realistic in LA. I don't live in LA. But like if I heard someone yelling like, "I want to teach you," like that doesn't sound realistic to me. English also sounds soft when you're cursing. Mate, you've never fucking heard an Australian speak, have you?
probably think the dude was a little bit over the top and you'd probably try to leave the area. But it turns out that's the point, because the Japanese actors are trying to portray an extreme emotion, while the English actors are trying to be realistic. And the end result is an English dub that has a glaring stylistic mismatch and is often boring. And this is simply because the industry spends more time catering to themselves than to the audience. This is also why so many anime voices...
Also, I just noticed the figure he had back there. Do you recognize who that is? Give me 1 second. Zoom in, please. I do not have zoom on this desktop. For some reason, I am blanking on her name. Is that the blood girl from My Hero? That is exactly who it is. What the fuck's her name? Why am I blanking on it? What the fuck's her name? Yeah, Himiko. That I've seen this figure before. That is a Himiko figure. Niriel, this is fair point. Fair point. Maybe I should be on Plasma. Maybe they would fix the games.
English dubs sound the same because of every single voice.
To be fair, in the Japanese version, half of these characters are voiced by the same person as well. Like, let's be honest, right? Like, black-haired isekai character. Let me just have a look, right? Let's actually find out how many voices he has done. Thank you, Mao. Yes, I am a fucking human. Oh my god, yes. Their hairs are the same. They are basically the same, yes. Matsuoka Yoshitsugu. Let's see. How many Angry Boys has he done? So he did Ren from Shield Hero, Oroha from Teogonia. Where's another one? Okay, Uesugi was actually a good one. Dio, Kirito, Mudo, should be he hasn't done a maybe these ones are actually shared a bit more. I've definitely heard his voice in a bunch of series, and it's just like it's the same angry boy Kirito voice. He also does Aaron's voice. Oh, wait, right, is it? Hold on, actually. Oh, yes, it is. Right, yeah, but like the thing is, yeah, he can actually act and can do different roles. Oh, yeah, he also did Inosuke as well, didn't he? Yeah, okay.
Voice sounds.
But I think I'm pretty sure in the English version, I would not be surprised if a lot of these are voiced by Bryce Papenbrook. I know Bryce Papenbrook does Kirito's voice. I would not be surprised if half the rest of these are also Bryce Papenbrook.
It's exactly the same. The audience never needs to learn any other voices. And that makes it easier to create the desired grounded performances instead of what the audience is actually there for. The craziness of anime. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't know what the solution is from here. The voiceover industry and all of the arts
hire British
people
people
has been built on a tower of self-aggrandizement and people-pleasing.
Stop
for
hiring
so
Americans.
Long, it's hard to make any reasonable correction or change. But I do know the first step to fixing this is to get back to a point where we prioritize the audience over the industry itself. Because after all, a voiceover industry that doesn't cater to its audience really isn't much of an industry at all.
This is true.
That's all I really have to say. But if you want to check out a game I'm in, check out The Precinct. It's a GTA-style cop sim where you play as the good guys, or the bad guys, depending on your point of view.
Imagine
Wherever
being a
you
good
are
guy.
in the world,
That's cringe.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I will see you all next time.
Holy shit, it's someone else who signs out the video with a salute. What a lad. Respect that. Absolute respect to that. That was a good video. That was a very, very good video. Hi, Brodie. Hello, VSAMP. How's it going? We have broken video games, so I'm watching reacts early. And we're going to end the stream early as well because of that. Yeah. That was good. I pretty much agree that the voice acting is kind of... Ian voice acting's a little bit rough, we'll say. But that's the thing, right? Like, you play games... You know, great example. Let's have a look at my Steam library. E33. Holy shit. Incredible voice acting. Like, both the English and the French versions are amazing. Kazan, amazing English voice acting. Hades 2, amazing English voice acting. Or, like, you play, you go back further, play, like, the BioShock game, something like that. Like, I don't think it's necessarily a problem with the industry. I think it's more of a problem with voice direction. And the problem is a lot of the industry is controlled by people with the same voice direction ideas, and then we get everything sounding exactly the same. It's great. Just play games with Ben Starr in it and you won't have a problem. There's the solution. Can I send a Vedal meme? You can send a Vedal meme, yes.